Well, Richie from Big Backyard Ideas here, and this is my Idesion garden hose review. What is there to like about this? Well, first of all, let me show you the problems we're having with our current hose set. Well, this is our current garden hose, your traditional sort of thick rubber one on here, but as you can see, these loops form in here very regularly, and when they get too tight, you get the hose just kinks up like that, and it has been happening so much, it has been driving yours truly absolutely crazy. Let's take a look at the Idesion hose and see if it's going to solve this problem. So what is there to like about my new hose? Well, first of all, it's 100 foot long, yet it comes in this tiny little bag. So what do we get for our money once I've picked it all up from the floor? Well, we get some spare rubber grommets which fit in the ends of the hose on here where you screw it onto your tap, which is always good to have a few of those spare, and we get a 9-way adjustable spray with it on here. So we've got shower, cone, jet, soaker, angle, mist, center, full, flat, back to shower again on there. So fully functional spray it comes with. That feels quite sturdy, made of quite good plastic on there. And I noticed straight away one neat feature on the handle there. If you pull that backwards, push this little locking lever over, and that will continuously hold the spray on, so you're not going to battle against it holding it on there. So you can flick it on there and disconnect it just as easily. Now it does say on the instructions, stop, please read all of the important information before using your magic hose, but it all appears to be fairly straightforward. The first thing being, though, that you should ensure is this valve is in the off position when you start. That's obviously in the on position, and it's in the on position when it's in line with the valve on there. So we'll turn that through 90 degrees off position on there. Now, well, this screws in here, fairly straightforward. I was just checking on there that we have indeed got a rubber washer on there, because if there isn't a rubber washer in there, then you need to get one of those spare ones and install it. Otherwise, water will leak everywhere out of the hose. Fairly straightforward to put together and use though. Let's just make sure that is done nice and tightly on there. Now, the one advantage of this is that when it fills with water, it expands to its full 100 foot length. It's pretty much guaranteed not to get any kinks in it, like my existing garden hose. And then when you disconnect the water, the hose shrinks back up to a nominal size like this. But let's connect it to the water and test it out. This thing looks to be, fingers crossed, a joy to work with on there. Doesn't look like it's going to be kinking up in a hurry whatsoever. Connect this end to my tap down here. Screws on nice and easily. The brass fittings appear to be pretty well made on here. Turn my water on. Now the hose is not going to fit. Oh, look at that happening now. I was just wondering if the hose would expand with that valve being turned off on there, and indeed it is. Just check that out, folks. It is quite something to watch, actually, never having had one of these before. Look, all set to water now, so now I'm going to turn that valve to on. Let's go through the settings to start with. Shower. Ooh. Flat. Move out the way of the spray a bit. Full. Oh, that's a good sized jet, that one. Center. Quite similar to the full size one. Mist. Oh. Yep. Angle. What's that one going to be like? Oh, angle one comes pretty much down at 45 degrees. Soaker. Oh, like the same kind of one, just flooding out of there. Jet. Ooh, you could pressure wash the outside of your house with that. Cone. It's a really wide dispersal rate on that if you wanted to cover a large area on there. And then back to shower. So all in all, I'm quite impressed with this, but more to the point, is that going to kink on? And whilst you can change between the different nozzles easily, happy to report they go home with a nice clip, so it's not wanting to slip too easily between the two of them on there. And if you're just wanting to gently moor to the plants, we can go to mist on there as an example. Okay, well, it appears fairly easy to tow along with you. Certainly, as I say, no initial signs of any kinking on there at all, and that 100 foot length from that pack being so small, I can now reach right the way around my garden to water the plants right at the back of my garden. My hose pipe connection is right down in that far corner of the garden there, so give my plants at the back of the garden some much needed water. Well, I have to say, the Idesion hose has impressed me from the outset. Yours for a smidgen under $50 from Amazon. I like the fact that you can actually turn the water off. This would enable you to put a different nozzle on or a different attachment onto the hose without having to turn off the water at the mains. Quite a neat feature, that. And that 100-foot length, now I'm going to be able to do everything in my garden with ease. And no king. Impressed with the flexibility of the hose at the minute. As I say, it's barely catching or snagging on anything as I'm pulling it around the yard here. Well, I have to say, I've been using this for about 15 minutes now, and I'm very impressed with it indeed. It is so much lighter, the hose, to pull along behind me than that heavy old plastic hose that I showed you at the start of the video. But I'm nearly done, so in a second I'll turn the water off and we'll see how small a size the hose retracts back up into. And the one thing I would say on here, if you want it, the pressure is actually way more than with my older hose on here, so you can actually shoot over a longer distance or get more water in faster if you need to. And that 100-foot length, I cannot stress enough just how useful this is proving. I can now get right the way around to the front of the house to water my window boxes. Now, I wasn't sure if it had the need for that soaker function, but for watering my palms, it's going to be absolutely ideal. For my purposes, the Idesion hose does everything I want it to. That 100-foot length is absolutely amazing. There's now no corner of the garden that I cannot reach. But for its final party trick, fingers crossed, when I turn the water off, the hose is going to contract back up again. But I'm not sure if I need to squeeze the trigger to get the existing water out in the hose. But let's turn it off and see. I'm thinking I probably am going to need to, I'm going to need to squeeze the trigger on that. And when I do, fingers crossed, the hose magically shrinks back up to its original size. And I would say, not once did I have a single kink in this hose, unlike that horrible thing over there. So yeah, to get it to go back up to its original size, turn the water off at that end, and then keep your finger down on the spray. And the hose, all 100 feet of it, that is quite remarkable. I was a bit sceptical on that. That's contracted up to an absolutely minuscule size that I can now put back in the bag, and I will do just that to prove it can be done. I'm going to turn it off at that end again, disconnect from the tap, and I have to say that brass fitting is very well made indeed. Quite impressed with that. And let's see if it all squeezes back into the bag. And I've speeded the packing up session for your convenience. And there we go, the hose actually fits back in the original bag. It's not one of these things where you undo it and you then can't get it back in the original packaging. Absolutely outstanding value to my mind. Well, thumbs up if you like this video, guys. Post any comments you might have in the comment section below the video and hit the circle below to subscribe. And if you do hit the circle, don't forget to hit the bell.